This week, all normal political activity was put on hold after two opinion polls suggested Scotland might be about to vote yes to independence. Former Prime Minister Gordon Brown was given control of the Better Together campaign and promised the Edinburgh Parliament would have more power over taxation and spending if Scotland voted no. And then, in a sign of outright panic, all three political leaders in Westminster abandoned the Commons, raced up to Scotland in a bid to save the Union. Westminster politicians were jolted out of their apparently cosy complacency over the future of the United Kingdom when polls suggested Alex Salmond had closed the gap and was within an ace of winning on the 18th of September. That early double-figure poll lead by the Better Together campaign had been wiped out, and the big three leaders suddenly woke up and smelt the whiskey. They were made painfully aware that they may see the break of the United Kingdom on their watch, and that would cast a very dark cloud over their own futures. So the first panic measure was to hand over the Yes campaign to Gordon Brown, who had a plan. The former Prime Minister, one of the biggest beasts in Scotland, repeated his programme to give far wider powers over tax, spending and welfare to the Scottish Parliament if the country voted to stay part of the UK. It would all start the day after the referendum. He certainly brought some of the missing passion and emotion to the debate, and no one doubts he's one of the few Westminster politicians that Scottish voters have any time for. The fact that he now held not only Scotland's future in his hands, but also the futures of both Ed Miliband and David Cameron was not missed. Alex Salmond said there was nothing new in any of this, and it represented a last-minute panic by the No campaign, who were losing the argument. Well, if he thought that was a panic measure, he hadn't seen anything. The very next day, all three party leaders in Westminster went into full-on headless chicken mode. In an 11th-hour move, Cameron, Miliband and Clegg agreed to abandon the weekly Prime Minister's question time in the Commons so they could race up to Scotland to try to rescue the Union.
I care hugely about this extraordinary country, this United Kingdom that we've built together. And that's what I want to talk about today. Because I would be heartbroken if this family of nations that we've put together and that we've done such amazing things together, if this family of nations was torn apart.
It certainly looked like the panic button had been pressed in Westminster, and no one will now predict how this historic battle will end. And that's it for this week. To keep up to date with all the political news from Westminster, go to ibtimes.co.uk.